Music industry is still really dominated by Bollywood, but the independent music industry has really grown a lot. You think about Chaiya Chaiya, think about Shah Rukh Khan. You don't think about, Sukhwinder or Rahman that much. The first image is like Shah Rukh Khan. It's funny that people call me a singer because I never really thought of myself as a singer, really.
Today we are speaking to singer-songwriter Prateek Kuhad, who's in the country for his multi-city tour for his new album, The Way That Lovers Do. Hi Prateek, welcome to the country.
Hi.
How does it feel to be back here after so long?
Really good, really good.
I'm going to start right from the beginning, right? When you started off, did you ever anticipate that you are going to be one of the top singers in the country?
No, not at all. Yeah. I honestly, it's funny that people call me a singer because I never really thought of myself as a singer, really. I just always thought of myself as a songwriter. And I always wanted to just write songs and stay low-key. And at one point I wanted to just write songs for other people and for films and stuff. I think just because I've sang so much at stage rehearsals, I've actually become a pretty good singer now. Yeah. now I finally feel comfortable with calling myself a singer though, yeah.
Your songs primarily are all heart, right? When I hear it, even if it's about, say, a heartbreak, it still feels like you're romanticizing pain. So there's a lot of heart and love in most of the songs. What is it that kind of inspires you to kind of stick to the theme or write about songs like that?
I don't really want to romanticize pain, actually. In fact, a lot of times people ask me this and I want to clarify that nobody should be romanticizing pain. But at the same time, I don't think we should be repressing it either. And that's a lot about what heartbreak is. I think a lot of art sometimes is, or not art, but just people sometimes try to keep their pain really inside and not really address it and look at it. And it's like, this is all parts of life. Like all emotions that we have, sadness, happiness, anger, frustration, this is all part of human existence. Yeah. And I guess everything's all heart because I'm really all heart.
Yeah, and it's very clear from all the songs that we hear when you do them. What's Prateek Kuhad's favorite part about being on a tour?
One is just playing the show itself and the energy. I also just like the overall the interaction with people. I really like meeting new people. Every time on every different tour, there's the crew is different sometimes. There's different musicians I'm playing with. There's different people you meet on the road in general. And really you get to see it from the inside because it's not you going as a tourist. You're there, you're working with the people who live in that city. Every venue has a different set of people who work there. It's interesting. And the more if you see of the world and the more kind of exposed you are to everything, it just really opens your mind up. It's really amazing and then changes you as a person.
And also a great way to connect with the people who love your music.
Exactly. I think my fans are awesome and I think they deserve to, listen to those songs live and have me there and stuff and have that connection between me and them. Yeah.
You've, of course, toured internationally as well, right? What's the difference that you see when you toured in India as opposed to internationally?
Mainly just infrastructurally, overall, just the kind of people involved in putting the show together, the venues. There's just a lot more professionalism and that's there because they've had, especially certain regions like UK, Europe, America, Australia I've toured a little bit. They have a long history of touring. They've had venues since the 60s, in the 50s and the 60s there's been venues, massive venues. So they have venues of every size, right? And there's the culture of touring. Everybody knows what they're doing. So it's a relatively new culture. Like concert culture is new. Yeah. It's recent. So we're still, building it up from the ground up is not there. We're just suddenly starting here, So it's challenging to do shows here. Especially putting together a show is challenging here.
But if we could talk a little bit about the evolution of the music industry in the last decade in the country, what would you say about it? How do you see it from what it used to be back then?
I don't know if I'm the best authority because I'm not that clued in actually, weirdly, in the sense because I'm very narrow. So I just write my own stuff, I do my own thing and stay out of it. But obviously I've worked in it so long, so I have some perspective. Honestly, not a lot, to be completely honest. It's still really, the music industry is still really dominated by Bollywood. But the independent music industry has really grown a lot, for sure. In terms of scale and size, definitely. Like just and the hip hop has helped a lot. Just the rap music industry in India has really grown that side of it a lot. And in the indie music scene also, there's some artists and stuff who are doing stuff on scale, like Ritwiz, Like, he's fully independent, he's awesome, writes really great stuff, very unique voice, his overall like expression of what he does with his music. Because of that, there's just more managers, more, support staff, like crew and engineers and session musicians, and all of that has also grown. So it has grown, but it's not like, it's still not where it should be, I think. I think there's a...
Whenever I'm interviewing a singer, a songwriter, especially a woman, right, there's a lot of talk about disparity in the music industry. It's very, very apparent in the country. Is that something maybe you've heard of?
I haven't heard of this, but I mean, just how India is in general. I mean, unfortunately, it is just really patriarchal. It's just across every industry, everywhere. The representation of women in any sort of profession or job or role is always lesser in general. Even if you look at audiences, actually, I think my audiences are quite evenly split. But you'll go to a lot of other concerts, primarily men coming out. You go to like rural Rajasthan, for example. I'm from Jaipur, and you will only see men outside. If you just like drive through like a small town, it's just, so that's just how India is. And but I think that's why like it's important to kind of push for a little bit of representation across all these things for women. I really think that like, if there's like a group of 10, 15 men just working together, you're just really isolated in a thought process. I think it really evens out the field when like, it just gives you, I mean, I like working with women in general also. So even if you're hiring stuff or in general people like band members or whatever, I like having women in the mix because it's a whole different perspective, Just because how society is structured, the way women grow up and men grow up in this country is so different. So you really need a divergent like perspective for everything to be kind of balanced, if that makes sense.
There are a lot of women from the music industry in India who are talking about it now. I mean, it's something that was unheard of. I don't think anyone before would even talk about it.
Where these kind of conversations have started happening. Like people actually talk about it and bring it up in interviews. I mean, who would bring it up in an interview otherwise? Like 5 years ago, I've never had this question before. But it's really, really important to talk about it, and it actually makes a lot of sense.
You are, of course, an independent composer as well, and you have worked with Bollywood, I think a few songs here and there. What's the kind of difference when you're composing and producing for yourself as opposed to when you're working for the Indian film industry?
Honestly, for me, almost nothing, because I never really, I never try to like get into Bollywood, in the sense that I was always happy to do it. And, I reached out to people that I knew and was like, if you want me to write something, I'm happy to do it. There's an industry out there. I can write songs. I'm happy to write songs. So invariably, I ended up attracting people who were fans of my music. So all the directors I worked with just already knew me. They loved my music. They wanted like a particular sound. So they really just gave me full creative control. Like Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, I've never spoken to the director ever in my life. It was just me and Jasleen. We wrote the song. Jasleen handled everything. Yeah, and there was me and Jasleen wrote the song together. We recorded in the studio together, me, her, and another engineer. That's it, 3 people. And a few months later, the song came out. I've not met anybody from the entire Kho Gaye Hum Kahan team or like the director, not a message exchange, nothing. With other directors I have, like Akash Khurana, I did Saanse and Kadam for Karwan, and he was a fan. So he just said that, man, I love your music and like, this is what I want. And then it's my job obviously to like meet people halfway, in the sense, in terms of the concept. Obviously, I'm writing for a film, so I can't write whatever the heck I want. In terms of sound and creative control, like, then it's still me, like, taking the lead, and then they really trust my opinion. I don't know, I've had a great experience every single time I've written for a film. I've never had a bad experience.
If there was one thing that you had to change in the current music scenario in this country, what would that be? If you think, okay, this is what we need to do to kind of better it?
I think independent music is great. In the sense, just the concept of truly independent music where, and I don't just mean this from an industry perspective, but I think we need more voices. We just need, and by voices I don't mean literally voices, but just more people who have their own identity outside of a film. Right now, all our favorite songs their faces are like Bollywood actors and actresses who have not sung it. Like every time you think of your iconic song, and no disrespect to those actors and stuff, but like you think about Chaiya Chaiya, think about Shah Rukh Khan. You don't think about Sukhwinder or Rahman that much. The first image is like Shah Rukh Khan. So that's like a huge difference between how the music industry is globally and here. Like when you think about like, I don't know, like, single ladies, you think about Beyonce immediately. You're not gonna think about like anybody else because that's the only image associated with it. So this is like a really subconscious thing, and that's because we don't have an industry in music outside of Bollywood. So I would just really love to see that, just have that as well. I mean, both can coexist.
There have been some critics that have said sometimes they tend to sound similar. What do you have to say to them?
I don't care, honestly.
That's the way to go for it, yeah.
I mean, if they sound similar, they sound similar. Like, if they're all good, then what's the problem, right?
But before we go, what's the one thing that you would like your fans to take away from this album?
I just feel so corny when I say it, but just like love is a really important thing, guys.
It doesn't feel corny. It feels
all
hard.
Don't be shy to be a romantic, Don't be like I think like people who are romantic are just discarded as like impractical and fools and stuff. And I think that's not true.
So you're saying it's okay to lead with heart?
100%. I think that's the only way to do it.
Thank you so much. And good luck for your show. Thank you so much. Thank you.